What's going on? People who are here in the place, whatever this place is called, you are here. This is where it is. Okay. I have a couple more things I want to fix. So I'm going to look in my email. I got some crashes to do. Let's do this one. Don't even need that, I'm sure. Yeah, that looks like a problem. I mean, so yeah, that continue should have been rejected. Is definitely a problem. Just call it lambda. So basically, what's happening is well, it's actually weird. This is not where I want to put this. But, so this is supposed to get type checked, and it's supposed to say, hey, that's not legal. But it's being fooled by the fact that there's a loop outside this local function declaration, right? So fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't get fooled again. Will you be able to see this log of changes during the release? Maybe. I mean, we might just put it up for historical purposes. It's not really going to be that useful for anyone. Okay. So now the thing I have to determine is there a problem actually here where I've been editing for a second, or is it elsewhere? So the block that we are looking for, okay, it's okay. If this target statement were set correctly, we wouldn't have this problem. So this stuff doesn't need to be here. Okay, we got to go here. Loop control. Find owning loop. Okay, so both of these could fail. So we have to make sure that both versions don't cross lambdas. So basically every block knows what procedure it's in. And we shouldn't be looking up a loop control from anywhere but a procedural block. So we're going to check that, not Barak. This is not Indonesia. Okay. And then from target ident, we want to do the same thing. Except it's not really the same. And, okay, so it's not just that we fail, but we actually need to okay. Okay, so this so if we didn't report an error, we need to oh, you know what? could do that. Just go down there. Right. Right. Do I have a road map? It's a map of the road. It's a map for the roadies. Can only continue from within a loop. All right. I want to test the other example that came from this person. Okay, this is just basically a slightly more elaborate. This was the original thing, and this should work as well now. Yeah. Okay. Great. Great. This one might be hard, but we're going to look at it. This is a report from a month ago. Let's see. Well, let's try to take a look at what the problem is. Hopefully it's something simple. All right. All right. It's cold in here. Okay. It gen lambda queued was N U L L P T R decimal point. So does PTR, that probably stands for Pater, like as in father, right? Because like Latin is how programming languages are made. And then the part before that, I don't know how to pronounce that, but I think it's Newell Pater. So it says that it gen lambda queued was Gabe Newell's father. I don't understand computers sometimes. It's really hard. It's really hard to do computers. I mean, so what if it's Gabe Newell's Pater? Like, shouldn't that be fine? How about C? Are you kidding me? Okay. C is like what you retreat to after you've been abused too badly by C++. All right. It's not a victory language. It's not a successful, forward moving programming language. All right. This is very weird. Like when this was assigned. So I feel like, so this part of the compiler got a complete overhaul from the one that guy was using. I feel like it was crashing for him for a different reason. And now this is, like, I kind of know what's going on here. And we're gonna do I get burnout? Very rarely. How do I deal with it? I get unburned out. Why does everybody ask that? Didn't I give a whole hour-long lecture about this? You can see that on YouTube if you haven't seen it. Or would the modified directive in the repro always report a compiler error? Well, it's just an example that somebody sent. It's not like real code. It's a bug repro. So yeah, I mean that sure looks to me like this should be an and, but that doesn't matter. Like he would have probably debugged that if it didn't crash on him, which is my fault. Okay. So we're doing make lambda. We're doing this. And that's in the parser. Right. So whoops. Oh, it's a modify on a struct. All right. Okay. So then we need to do this. Modify has gone live. And we're going to say, this is just going to say, why is that way down at the bottom? This is going to take a while to trickle through the system. The compiler is a series of tubes that are called pipes. Ha! I fixed it. I fixed it. Don't you wish that Hubert T. Linux would fix his operating system as effectively as I fixed this compiler? I think that's it. I don't know if I should have more tea. I really want a lot of chocolate, but I only have bad chocolate, and I don't want that chocolate. I want a lot of good chocolate. I might have to go to the store later and at least get medium chocolate. Time to order chocolate. It won't get here in time. Get Lindt? I mean, Lindt is passable. Get peanut butter M&Ms. That's a good idea. I might celebrate the beta by getting peanut butter M&Ms. Do you wear a mask when shopping? No, what I do is I get a backpack with a giant set of car batteries inside that can drive like one of these Dyson fans. Have you seen like the Dyson very special fans that like shoot air out the rim, and they're supposed to have very powerful, right? And then I put that right on my face like this. And I just try to amplify the breath. What about the cinnamon pita bits? We could get those too. All right. This is pretty good. Let's make the executables, and then we could document it. Well, let's check in. Fix a modify crash. Bam biddly yam. Let's actually also, let's put this in a test. So we're just going to say here, instead of compiler report error, we're going to do that because we don't want it to be an error. We just want to test that this runs. All right. Let's make a release build of the compiler. Make sure we can still build the game. How is the private beta going? It is going well. I'm happy with it. Ba-bam, ba-bam. 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 Add a modified test. Okay, so I'm going to update the executables of the compiler, and that'll be ready to go, and then we'll document until I really want peanut butter M&Ms. So the reason I'm not going right now is I did get these in the mail today, and they're very delicious. I don't know if you've ever had these. But the problem is when you order them from Amazon, along with a lot of other things, they like stick them in a box, and it gets mashed on the side, and it gets kind of broken. Although I think these two are intact. So it's like a really good, it's like a little tortilla, but with the sugary coating. Oh, this one's cracked. It's just holding together. Yeah, these are super good. These are super good. Only 160 calories per, which means I ate 640 calories of those an hour ago. Growing boy, I gotta have brain power, you know. I'm sure there's no carbs in there too. It's fine. Ketchup or mayo, there is one right answer here. No, there isn't one right answer there. Okay, look. On a hot dog, I would much rather have ketchup. On French fries, I would much rather have ketchup. On a bologna sandwich with pickles, even without pickles, just a bologna sandwich. You got to put mayonnaise on the bologna sandwich. There's no ketchup on a bologna sandwich. Now, never mind that a bologna is just a hot dog in a different shape. It's just you have to have the different thing. Okay. So, we did this testing. Oh yeah, I was gonna update the pup date. We're on version 19. This will be the every one of these is a beta that we shipped. So this will be the 19th beta that we have shipped to people. So we're going to build this. The answer is mayo ketchup is BS. That is not true. Mayhap you have only ever had like Heinz ketchup and stuff, which honestly isn't that bad. But have some actual good ketchup too. That gets really delicious. Aioli greater than mayo. I disagree. Aioli is just bad. Aioli can go jump off a bridge. Aioli is like for people who think they're too upscale and schmancy for mayonnaise. I mean, let's face it, aioli is mayonnaise. It's just pretending not to be. And it's just not as good as regular mayonnaise. All right. Now, okay. Just going to copy this executable. You know what? Actually, I think we're going to let the build machine build this and see what happens. Because now that should be reliable again. Update version for a new beta. For the new Betamax. Did I remember to just update my own copy? I think I did. Yeah, okay. So now we could do this. And we'll see if we can remember how to do this thing that I don't do very often. Should check out WSL2. Nope. 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 All right. Look how fast C++ compiles in a virtual machine. It's blazing. Uh-oh. Recipe failed. What does that even mean? What do you mean recipe failed? Unrecognized command line option. Cannot convert bool to ASCII. Did I returned the wrong type? And Visual Studio didn't care. Let's fix it on Windows. So this thing, yeah. So Visual Studio is perfectly happy to implicitly convert false to null, but Clang isn't. I mean, it's probably a warning on Visual Studio, and we just have most warnings turned off. Let's make sure our builds are going. There we go. Update version for new beta, build passing. That means the build machine compiled it, ran tests, and checked it back in. For several months, we had some thread safety issues that for some reason were making the build machine super flaky. I think in part it's because it was Windows 7. But then also, if you were doing things manually on that machine, it wouldn't fail. So I think it's like some kind of Windows 7 thread prioritization where like background processes get scheduled differently, and it was causing this bug to happen. And we finally fixed it last week. So that's great. All right, let's go back to Ubuntu. I don't want updated software. I'm going to get off this Ubuntu as soon as I can. All right. That single core make, you have to add -J16. Well, good thing I almost never compile on this computer, and thus I do not care. Also, I think this virtual machine is limited to 1 core because like multi-core support isn't there or something. Uh-oh. Well, some of our modules are screwed up on Linux right now. What the hell? All right. God, this is so crappy. All right, so we'll VI it. Line 191, file visit info is not a field of util. What? That's in file utilities. Okay. See, I don't like this owner thing, and like I wrote this code originally, so all right. File visit info. That stuff shouldn't have been public anyway. Pizza. It's got to be deep dish pizza. And deep dish pizza cold is not that good, honestly. Like when people say they like cold pizza, I think they're thinking of like flat pizza. Okay, so why is it saying file visit info is not there? Sure it is. It's right there. We might have a compiler bug that's going to take a while. Like, I hate trying to debug on Linux. I can't ship the beta if this doesn't work. Maybe if I reproduce this in Windows, I can make it happen, and then... Oh my God. Like... All right. We're just gonna, I don't even have copy paste between machines enabled. So we're gonna go, let me just actually, that might break the build because I didn't really test it. Let's bring that on over here. Okay, so this all seems to be working, which is great. We are gonna try to repro this and hope it's not operating system dependent. So we're gonna say get rid of this up here, and do that, and see what happens there. Like, it might be that something in this is causing the compilation to not go well. All right. Well, what is this underscore remove? Does this not exist? What is underscore remove? Oh, it's in frickin'. God damn it. No. Okay, well, this is not defined is the real problem, as far as I can tell. Oh, there it is. POSIX libc. Right. So that should be all loaded. What a giant steaming waste of data this file is. This is so much junk. Okay, POSIX brought to you by, hope we never need to use any of this. All right. Okay, whatever. Whatever, man. Okay. Okay, what error are we seeing over here again? File visit info is not a field. Like what? This looks to me like it looks to me like something that is not actually an OS dependent problem. It's just an actual problem, and it just happens to exhibit either on Linux or in this VM again, I think. But then it's a little too reliable for that too. Like it's exactly the same errors every time, which I wouldn't expect. So maybe it is a Linux thing somehow. So wait, basic.free in string, that's weird. Like, that's just free. Oh, you know what? I removed importing basic from something else. I see. Okay. This is a very weird... We've been a little bit messy about some things. All right. But wait. Undeclared identifier string builder, but we imported basic. Oh, but that other thing... I don't know. Let's just make sure this works here. These got a little sloppy. I thought I went through and cleaned up all these modules, not exporting all these symbols. And I think someone like uncleaned it up for some reason. So we need to get that under control. Or maybe I just didn't get as many as I thought. I never did a super organized sweep over everything, but these are very basic modules, right? All right. Let's just see. I don't think all our Linux problems are gone, but one or two of them might be fixed. All right, I think we have less. Yeah, this basic.free. Oh, I didn't do the assert. That could be causing these other error messages, actually. Why does this all say basic dot? That's not good. This is in basic. Oh no, this is string builder. Never mind. Dude, I was so confused. Oh no, string builder is in basic. I'm still confused. It used to be its own library. Okay. You know, sometimes I just have no idea what I'm doing. Good things nobody's actually talking about interesting technical subjects in the chat, or I might be distracted and want to read it. Good thing. Okay. That's so weird that I had string builder. All right. Okay. So string builder is exported, right? And so file says string builder, string builder. So something here isn't working. This seems like a genuine bug. Okay. We don't need that anymore. We don't need that anymore. We don't need that anymore. Okay. Why? Let's try this. Oh, actually, let's do this on the Linux machine rather than back and forthing it. It just didn't even happen. All right, we're going to have to look at this. I kind kind of... Oh. I kind of want to just debug this on Windows. I assume... No? Bro! Seriously? That doesn't repro it. Do I have actually... How do I tell... What's the SVN command line for knowing if anything's modified? I might have like changes here. Oh, that didn't do anything. Okay, that is fine. Well, no modifications. Okay. Well, we have no modifications. We have the compiler not being happy on Linux. Probably in a way that is related to stuff that I've done recently. But I honestly don't understand. You know what? Let's just be super paranoid. Let's just make clean it. Who knows? It is expected that that file is modified because you just saw me modify it like 2 minutes ago. Okay. Well, this isn't going to help, but sometimes we do that to reduce variables. Okay, so we're noting this uncompleted using, and then right away, like nothing has even happened. This import, like okay, let's just see what it should say, right? If I do this on Windows, and I do this, we see a lot of things. Let's, oh God, why is Windows so bad? Why is Windows such a giant turd? Like, I don't even know. All right. So we see this here, and then it starts importing things, right? It imports all these symbols. Okay, this problem that we're seeing here happens before we import any symbols. 0. Actually, that's not even the right, well, that's the right one for string builder. Let's actually also do file utilities. Wow, these are really old. Okay, wait. Where was file utilities coming from? Why is it? Okay, this is. Sorry, this is crap. File utilities is supposed to be a higher level library than file. You can't import file utilities just to do file stuff. Let's just not say crap. People didn't necessarily know, but delete directory. In Windows, you just say delete the directory, I guess. What is, oh God, don't do this. Is there a module dependency tree generated that person could see to know that one is lower level than another? You could print that out from a meta program if you wanted to. But here I'm just talking about the design of things. Like, come on, this is... All right. So anyway. So I'm trying to avoid and procrastinate on using GDB, terrible 1980s technology debugger that it is. But I don't see what else to do here. Oh yeah, let's go. Let's make this import debug. Didn't even do the uncompleted use. What? Let's try putting this globally. Didn't matter. It's like maybe it's something about the fact that this is loaded. Okay, like this is not good either. It's like keep the imports under control, people. All right, VI screwed me. All right, so that's not going to matter at all. Just verifying that it didn't matter at all. So I want to know if I put this into here, God. I don't understand why that didn't do what I wanted to do. Okay, it's actually doing both declarations. Okay. Well, we've got to do GDB, which means this is something that maybe I could fix in 10 minutes on Windows, and it's going to take hours because of GDB. Because of partially how much I hate GDB. All right. Because it's the same program I used in college on computers with 4 megabytes of RAM. Seriously, the awesome ones had 32. I had 398. Why don't we just spend a few minutes in making the Linux experience a little bit less shitty?
Why don't you do that? I will do things the way that I do things, and we'll see who makes what in the end, how effectively.
Look, a certain amount of my sanity involves not letting other people's garbage get me down, right? The way that you go downhill is by being cognitively captured by other people's garbage. Okay, I don't want to do that, so I leave my contact surface with the garbage as minimal as possible. All right? This is a super garbagey setup. I'm not gonna, it's in a virtual machine, in an operating system I don't even want to be using 2 weeks from now if I can upgrade to Alpine Linux. And like all these things, I'm not going to spend time configuring this. That's how you waste time and never get anything done. All right? Like, just, here's a thing that I wish would happen less on the internet. Like, again, this is, I don't know how to say this without it sounding too much like bragging or whatever, but try to take it as objectively as possible, and I will try to say it as objectively as possible, right? One thing that happens a lot, not just with me, but I've seen it happen on other Twitch streamers and other YouTubers and stuff. Like, people go up to someone who is highly productive and highly effective, and then they question their process and doubt their process and say, oh, that's dumb that you're doing that. Why are you doing that way? And you have to understand that this thing that looks incorrect to you may actually be an ingredient of success that you don't understand. All right? Like, it may not, right? That said, it may not. But it may. And it may be attached in a way that's deeper than would be obvious to an observer, right? But like, you know, all the time people say to me, oh, you should do this and you should do that and you should use Git. And then I look at what those people get done and it's almost nothing by my standards. So I'm like, why are you lecturing me about workflow, right? Now I realize that that was a question. It wasn't a lecturing me, but it's just, the question doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? The question doesn't make sense. When people tell you Linux is bad, your reaction is the same. Well, look, I'm productive in Emacs, but Emacs is bad. Like, there's not a contradiction there. I would be more productive in something better than Emacs, but I don't have something better than Emacs. You're not saying Linux is perfect, but that's the best we have. It's the best you have for what you do. Linux is terrible for what I do. All right. So like, is it, you know, people do different things. That's fine. Are we debugging some Linux specific problem? Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, I'm running GDB. And wait, it didn't even break. Really? Why didn't that break? Let's try breaking in the function. Like breakpoint 1, where is it? I mean, it seemed to do breakpoint 1. I don't know what's going on now. All right. So this is complaining about file visit info. Report stuck pipe. Oh God, this is going to be so annoying. This would be so fast in Visual Studio. I might actually just decide to debug it on the laptop, because at least I have Emacs on the laptop. I'd still be stuck on GDB, but is it okay to increase font size then? I don't know how to do that. And I also don't know how to increase my display size here. This doesn't do it. Control plus, somebody said, in fact, does not increase the font size. I just increased it. No, I didn't. Did you guys pay attention earlier? Look what this does. That's what that does. Why are you telling me that it makes it bigger? People trying to lecture me on workflow doesn't even know what happens when you resize the window. Hey, look, now I shrunk it again. Now I don't have a display. Thanks, guys. RIP. RIP computers. Let's try pausing the machine and unpausing. Right Control F. Nope, it's toasty. Oh wait, we got it back. Oh. Okay, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. This is why I do not bother with any of this stuff, guys. Okay? All right. Oh, God. See, this is such a bad debugger. Like, I can't even read this. Okay, let's look at the identifier. Okay. 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 All right, that should have struct desk set. Like, how am I supposed to read this? It's like they're not even trying. It's so weird. It's like word wrapped, but not aligned on the left. Like, what? How does that make any sense? It's word wrapped. You have to install guest editions. Yeah, that's not going to happen. A GDB GUI can save me some time. False. It'll take me way more time to learn how to use a GDB GUI than it would to just fix this problem in Visual Studio if I could make it happen. Right click on terminal. All right. Nope. Nope, there's no setting there. Preferences. I don't see font size. How's that? Visual Studio can act as a GDB GUI if you touch it in all the right places in the right order. Yeah, no way am I going to do that, dude. You're crazy. No way am I going to do that. You're not allowed to criticize reasonable users for being confused by a bad UI. That is the road to mediocrity. I will, at minimum, time out anyone who does that to anybody on this channel. In this case, it happens to be me, but okay. Okay, so see how much time we've already wasted doing these things? This is what I'm talking about. This is how hours and days go by. So oh my God. I'm pretty sure this has a member called struct_desc. Okay, it's null. I couldn't find it in all this. Def and flags 8. Okay, that's weird. That's weird. I don't understand this type that I'm seeing. Okay, this is a primitive type. This is like, that's later. What gets made before type def void? See this? Okay, so when we start up, we make a bunch of types, right? And this one has a memory location that's less than void, but very close. So like, what do we even make before it? Type def type. That's about it. That is what it is. Okay. That's actually correct. Oh well, I thought I found something, but that's correct. Okay, never mind. Because this isn't. This is the right thing to be looking at. Okay. So this it arrow struct dereference expression is, I'll show you what I'm looking at. It is, oh, I moved it, I guess, but it's this, this identifier util right here. All right. So this is like a type valued expression and a type instantiation. Anyway, this is supposed to be the module that we imported. All right. But we're trying to dereference it and it isn't ready yet. And I'm like, why? Okay. Okay, this is the actual type of the struct. So this should have a struct desc. If I could frickin' ever see it. Like at least make the values one color and the names another color. Like it's so bad. And don't tell me there's a variable I can set to turn that on, because you know the answer to that. Let's just see. I should start using the dollar signs. Okay. This is the actual struct. I can't read anything. I'm just looking at spam. If you make this your UI in my compiler design class, you get a D. Okay, it's waiting on inserters. So we should not be able to get here, right? Okay. Waiting on inserters means, hey, you can't look up names here because they aren't ready yet. All right? Oh, except that we have a stuck pipe. Why do we have a stuck pipe? Now you know why that's off by default. This just isn't a good UI, guys. At least I can read it, though. All right. So really what I have to do is figure out why the pipe is stuck, right? It's can I not alt tab between terminals? It's so strange. The problem is probably not any of these things. So what's probably going on is that our error reporting is deficient in some way, right? And it is not telling us what the real problem is. And so it's reporting undeclared identifiers because that's what we do when we find undeclared identifiers. But if they're undeclared because these imports are not completing, then it is what it is. You know what? I actually want to narrow down the scope of this because all this file utility stuff and whatever, let's just go like this. import basic. Let's see if that compiles. Nope. So there's something that's jacked in the frickin' basic module or in the Linux version of the compiler. Let's see if we can do this. That's fine. So it's just, there's some way in which we're not reporting errors correctly. All right, let's get this terminal over here to let's close our third terminal because 3 is too many to think about. All right, so we're gonna with the move to DirectX 12, won't that hamper supporting other platforms? How do people hear that we're doing a DirectX 12 port without hearing the other parts of the sentences that I say at the same time? Is somebody clipping things out? You have to ship a game, you have to do 7 graphics APIs. That's just how it is. Doing DirectX 12 doesn't mean we won't do the other 6. We have to do the other 6 to ship on all these systems. It's just how it is. All right. So these usings are not completing. So maybe these will give me a better idea. So that is a using on an import. Let's just see what these are. Line 4. Right, that's there. Why are you... People are just so fired. What even is this? Linux imports POSIX and POSIX imports Linux? You guys... All right. I mean, in principle, we can deal with this, but it's not a particularly well-defined scenario. I don't know if Abner actually did that, so don't blame Abner necessarily, but so it might be that we handled that just fine up until this rewrite, for example, right? And it might be that the Windows libraries don't do that. Let's see though. So Linux line 7 is the import of POSIX, and is this literally only for TimeVal? So namespaces are supposedly solid right now. So what's going on is probably some stuff is blocking identifier lookup. So we're going to take Abner's suggestion here. Still didn't matter. It's probably the circular thinger. Let's actually see what happens if we do this. Oh wait, we're not even on the right machine. What am I even talking about? All right. This just has to get cleaned up though, right? Yeah. So something about that circular import was breaking things. That was my import debugs that I put. So now we have to revert those. All right. Wait, what? Oh, I didn't revert that one. Okay. For some reason, let's just do this. Oh my God. All right. Finally, wait, is it 1959 in my VM? That's entertaining. All right. So there's something about circular imports in some cases that we don't handle, that we used to handle, but that might have involved me fixing some semantics that were actually kind of broken. So yeah. Like, why is it importing Linux? For kernel definition, like why? Does it use these? Like if I do this, what happens? Does anyone break? Because if not, I feel like they should be separate. Will longer circular chains work? Because sometimes circular imports are unavoidable. I agree that it should work. And so the problem is just figuring out how to make it work while maintaining certain invariants in the language, but I'm not going to worry about that for shipping this beta, right? All right. So I'm just going to do this. Oh, wait, I didn't. Why do I keep editing things on the wrong machine and pretending like that's supposed to do anything? Like, wait, what? All right. This whole libc bindings thing is not going to happen. All right, let's try that again. Thank you in chat for telling me it was the wrong machine. Too bad I wasn't checking chat at that time. Don't you have to compile first? No. I mean, we could recompile the test program just to make sure, but that's not necessary. All right. Well. We could do this and then relink it. Yeah, it's 8:03 p.m., everybody. Uh-oh. GLSL version not supported on the emulator. I can't play Snake. I wanted to relax by playing some Snake that we earned. All right. You know what? Let me do a better job first. Here. Like, I just feel like that was wrong. Like, look, if you want the POSIX definitions, use the POSIX. If you want the Linux, use the like, I don't know. I mean, probably we should think this through further later, probably. But for now, this is okay. I mean, what is all this? This is like Linux-specific internet stuff. It's apparently totally different from Mac OS internet stuff. Like, why is that in POSIX? Like, I feel like this should get refactored a little bit. Like, why is POSIX a module? I don't think... Okay. But that isn't expected to be imported on its own. That might make sense. We used to have a circular import here between. All right, so, all right, that didn't go in my buffer. Okay, now, so A, it's a problem in the longer term that circular import didn't work. It's also a problem that we didn't report the circular import well, right? We reported these undeclared identifiers, but we didn't report the other thing. It might be that now, it might be that now we need to fix this, by the way. It's like, yeah. It might be that now after the compiler restructuring, it's a clearer structure to deal with, and it'll be more obvious how to, etc. I want to make my own operating system, man. I just don't have time for that. Are there any questions that people have about what exactly we did, or on-topic questions about how things work, or like why I'm so grumpy all the time? Any questions like that? Okay, wait, what did we change here? I should really retest these on Linux, right? Okay, that's a revert. Oh wait, no, that's just a comment. That's a no check-in. That is a commit. So let's commit this. Boom. And let's just update on Linux one more time. Was this whole endeavor just to fix Linux compatibility? Well, that's what we've been doing for about the past hour. Before that, we were fixing general problems. Is my grumpiness level proportional anyway to my productivity? No, I would say I get a lot more grumpy when I run into this kind of like tar pit of having to deal with the operating system, or having to deal with, you know, some program that's not good that I don't want to like spend a week trying to figure out. You know, that kind of thing makes me grumpy. So like having to GDB on Linux makes me grumpy. And in the end, we didn't even really use GDB on Linux. I tried using it a bit, and then I gave up and I debugged it a different way. So, you know, most of that GDB time was actually wasted. And if I had just done the other thing that I did, I would have figured it out much faster. Urbit OS is interesting. Maybe. I just don't, I'm not a big believer in like that whole like blockchain decentralized mentality. I just don't. I mean, I know why people like it. I just don't think it is the most effective thing. Have I given more thoughts on being able to break out of an outer while loop? Not really. I mean, we might do that at some point. It's not a super priority. Are we still checking the email? Sometimes. Do we use POSIX stuff for PS4, PS5 development? I have not done barely any console development yet. Ignacio last year did the Switch target, and that is where we've been. And then since then we've been on PC again most of the time. So I really can't answer any of that. That said, I think a lot of the public info about PS5 is that, again, I have to be careful what I say here, but with PS5, you don't want to be using fopen and fread on there because you're throwing away what's special about the machine if you do that. You want to use modern year 2020 file APIs on PS5. Do I know if Rad is still working on a Linux debugger? I do not actually know. I would be very happy if they are. What else is left to fix for this beta? Maybe nothing. Maybe nothing. Have you ever listened to or read what Yanis Varoufakis has to say about economics and politics? I read his blog a little bit way before the Greece thing happened, but I don't really remember what he said. I mean, he's pretty socialist, right? But aside from that, I don't really remember. So like, for example, I don't know, I can't say that much about modern file APIs because it's under non-disclosure agreements, but I'll just say like, look, if you do fread, for example, you're copying all your data at least once because C file IO goes into buffered structures, right? So right there, if your copying is your bottleneck, which it may be in some of these cases, that would cut your performance down by 50%, all right? Another thing is fread is synchronous, right? You can't just say, I want to read the first 50 megabytes of this file. Let me know when it's done. While I'm waiting for that, I'm going to go off and do this other stuff without creating threads and whatever, right? Which is very heavyweight and annoying and should be unnecessary, right? And then you still have to have code like reading the 50 megabytes and frickin' whatever. Like, it's just not how it should go. So, you would like to have ways of just saying like, look, put this piece of this file into this memory and let me know when it's done, for example. And, some OSs have APIs like that. fread is not a good API as you're core. You know, FRead was fine in 1970, 1980. It's not fine now. With POSIX, you can probably mark the associated file descriptor as non-blocking. Yeah, but that doesn't really solve the problem. It doesn't put the file data into the actual memory that you want, even if you can do that, right? But also, non-blocking just means don't block. It doesn't mean actually do the work while I'm not blocking, right? That's a different thing. Like at the kernel level, it does, right? Like reading on a non-blocking socket at the kernel level will wait until it shows up in the kernel buffer. But the C runtime has its own buffers. That's the thing. Couldn't a callback function handle that in the FRead example? But that function is still running and doing work and using CPU to do the copy. Why? Why are you doing that? IO urine is fast. I doubt it's anywhere near as fast as PS5. I mean, Linux people just don't really know what fast is, just like web people don't. Like, yeah, WinAPI has overlapped I/O. That is true. I have heard that it doesn't work as well as it should. I have not used Windows' overlapped I/O heavily. Still, that's also different. That's a way of doing non-blocking things. It is not a way of doing some of the special things that you get to do on PS5. POSIX has poll, same thing. I don't know that much about how poll and epoll work, but whatever. It's like a way of being non-blocking, but it's not a way of actually solving the efficiency problem. You shouldn't have to brute force anything in the witness. Shouldn't you just be using mmap for everything? No, because mmap doesn't put the memory where you want it, right? Mmap gives you some memory that the file gets loaded into, but it doesn't put the file data where you want the file data to go. Windows overlapped I/O is fine. Sure, if you have a 1998 idea of fine, great. You use Windows overlapped I/O. I'll use modern things on operating systems that provide them, and we'll see whose code goes faster. Right? But I've also worked, like, I can't say what the deficiencies of Windows overlapped I/O are. I mean, for what it claims to do. What I'm just saying a second ago is what it claims to do is actually not that appropriate in 2020 anyway. But for what it claims to do, I've heard that it's not actually as overlapped as you would like. I've heard that some things don't even quite work correctly, but I haven't actually used them heavily. You brute force the puzzle in the witness where you have the hedges and the gravel right after the grass. Well, you know, I'm not going to tell you the answer to anything. At least that wasn't a puzzle that you have to brute force a zillion times, because there's not that many solutions to it, or potential solutions, I mean. Can you mmap and then just point to that memory? Again, that puts it in some memory, not necessarily the memory that you want. Right? Yeah, you can do that, but you're not in control of the memory at that point. Modern I/O is almost as fast as Pepsi Man. Yeah. Pepsi Man is going to star in the just announced Tron 3 because that's how fast memory is now. You'll go into the computer with the fast memory. When I say the memory that I want, am I envisioning an address that I want or a block of memory that I want? I am envisioning memory in a physical location on the computer. For example, let's say you want to draw some textures. So the GPU has to be able to read those textures. They have to be in RAM that the GPU can read, that's fast and not fragmented and managed by your program and all these things, all right? If you're going to do that on Windows, how many times do you copy that texture data before it gets to the GPU? The answer is a lot. You can cut down on some of it, but some of it you can't get rid of, right? Now you could imagine, like you have all this hardware, even in PCs, that's working very hard to be asynchronous, and yet it's stymied by the operating systems, right? Why can't you just say, hey, I/O controller, put this part of this file into this memory on the GPU, and let me know when that's ready so I can draw the texture, right? Why can't you do that on a PC? You can give mmap a target address, so that's false. Dude, you either don't know what I'm talking about or you don't know what you're talking about. Guys, mmap is like 1990 technology. It's 30 years ago. Well, we shipped a beta. That makes me less grumpy. Sounds like being able to orchestrate the hardware to move the data where you want rather than all the copying that happens now. Yes, and it has been announced, everybody knows this is public, that, for example, the PS5 has built-in hardware compression, right? So you can decompress data while it's being loaded, right? And so you can imagine wanting to minimize the amount of footprint. Like, so not only do you want to use CPU to do copies, or not only do you not want to use CPU to do copies, you don't want to use CPU to do decompression. And since those are happening at the same time, you want hardware that like decompresses and gives you the data, right? Where you want it. So that all can and should happen in one step while you're off doing other things. That's what a modern file API would look like. All right. What else can I say about that? Will this give you knack 3? I don't know. I am not party to any of Sony's game development plans. I am sure that they have a number of first-party titles planned for this console. One of them may be knack 3. But I have no inside information about that. I doubt that one of them is Pepsi Man 2. But if they did do Pepsi Man 2, I would be all over that, man. I would buy that day one. Are you able to make that kind of I/O I am talking about in user mode? As far as I know, you can't do it on either Linux or Windows stock. You would have to have specialized drivers installed for either of those systems. You would have to have specialized drivers and specialized hardware. So no software, no common software does this today. Emacs is so 1970. That is correct. It is. Wow. I need to clean out some of the junk files in this folder at some point. Ay, 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 ay. Oh, rename. Rename. Why can't I? Why is my brain? Why is Windows so annoying? What's wrong with old programming techniques? Lots of good things came out in the 70s. That is true. A lot of the ways that people programmed in the 70s are better than many ways that people program today. However, the hardware today is very different from hardware in the 70s. And so if you're talking about interfacing with hardware, or even how should an OS be designed? Because, you know, OSs, we've learned a lot, right? Like, those things should progress. That's all I'm saying there. Whoops, I just accidentally renamed that. So I'm sending an email that hopefully you guys can't see, and the subject is new compiler beta. Paste in the change log like we often do. Look at all that change log. Captain's change log, star date 3742.6. Bam. Beta has been shipped. people. It has gone out to our fine beta community. We'll see if it works. And we'll make an empty changelog for version 020 that hopefully will be modified. 020 for 2020. This was a huge beta, actually. This restructuring that I talk about here is huge. It was the last really scary thing about the compiler that has been fixed. It's going to enable some really good stuff. And there are still other large restructurings to be done, but they're not scary. They're just interesting and a fair amount of work, but they're not scary. The compiler is no longer scary. A year and a half ago at this time, I was very scared of the complexity of the compiler. I am no longer afraid of it. Yeah. So things are good. Are there any significant useful parts of the compiler exposed as user libraries like an assembler? There's no assembler in the compiler. Like we just generate machine code directly. Eventually, we would like to have the compiler be callable just as a library from any programming language. We just haven't set that up yet mechanically. But the way the metaprogramming works, you don't really need that for almost anything that you want to do, except maybe compile things, right? Well, if you do what Drew DeVault says, you will not succeed in the game industry. Although I think characterizing that as what Linux users actually believe is maybe a little bit broad. I should do a rant on the problems of modern OSs. Well, I think there is a rant that I want to do about how the structure of these OSs is overcomplicated and is introducing a lot of problems. However, I won't be doing that for a while. Is there any code reuse from previous games? Yeah, in this game, there's code from the witness. In the compiler, there's a small amount of code from like all the previous engines and stuff. Just a couple of data structures and a little bit of OS interfacing, like getting what time it is. Not much. Will the restructure support moving to multi-thread compilation? It definitely removed one of the barriers to that. A couple of future restructurings are really going to be required to go more seriously multi-threaded, but we're not too far from that, honestly. How many people are on this round of the beta? Well, there are like 20 people on the list. I'm not sure how many people are super active right now. Because like, usually what happens is you add a bunch of new people, and like maybe in the beginning, like most people are excited and do stuff, but then like life intervenes. And then as it goes on, your percentage of participation, of active participation, goes down. And so it's been a few months since we added people to the beta, I think. I don't remember when it was, but it was, I'm pretty sure, at least a couple months ago. Aren't I creating a talk about why software is getting worse? Yeah, and that is part of why I don't want to do other new talks before that's done. I got cut off the other night while answering when I'll be moving to Colorado. Well, I kind of want to move somewhere. Like my problem right now is I'm in a not very good apartment in San Francisco, and there's no reason for me to be here, and I'm annoyed at California in a few ways. So I would like to go somewhere, but like just actually going somewhere is enough friction that I'm not doing it. And being further from the office is like maybe not great, but maybe fine. What's the justification for not releasing the source code more widely or earlier? Because I don't want to deal with people on the internet. Are you kidding me? Especially open source people. They're like a bunch of hyenas. Like everybody thinks it's McDonald's and you're supposed to do what they say. It's crazy. When I was in Seattle for a year, how was it being away from the office? It was not that good because I flew down every few weeks, and I mean, I actually didn't even have an official place to park in San Francisco, so I left my car at the airport half the time. It was not cool. But if I were living a place that I enjoyed more and came a little less to San Francisco because everyone's more remote anyway, that might work better. I don't know. After I finish the couple of long talks, I maybe want to do a series of short talks that are just 10 or 15 minutes, but that like give a more focused version of some of these rants that I give once in a while. Like it came up yesterday or today, like, yeah, I should really give a 15-minute talk of why you don't need an entity component system if you're an indie game developer, like that kind of thing. SF rent is minus 11%. Yeah, dude, I've been living in San Francisco for like most of 30 years. I remember when rent was a sixth of what it is today. Like it used to just be tremendously better. Maybe not a sixth, like a quarter of what it is today, a fifth. You can release a source and not accept any input from random people. Just let them fork it if they want to. No, forking it is the worst part. forking it is why Linux is so crappy, for example. I don't want people forking my stuff. Are you kidding? Hey, didn't make this thing, but I'm very opinionated in this thing that I have very little knowledge of and very little experience with. I'm going to go make my own version that's way better by forking all this other person's 7 years of work. And then I'm going to rename all the variables to start with the word poop. And now that's my programming language. It's like, really? Great, guys. Great, guys. Do I know of Pure Data / Miller Puckett? No, those words don't mean anything to me. I don't know what that is. An actual on-topic question, be thinking about moving to Cali just to get some more connected to more game developer communities. Right now you live in Colorado. Do I think that moving might be worth it? I don't know. Okay, very honestly, I do not hang out with game development communities. And I think if you go to it, like the typical thing back in the day, 10 years ago or whatever, would be, hey, there's the IGDA meetup or whatever. And the thing with those is they're mostly populated by students and wannabe game developers. Like actual game developers don't go to those. And so like, how do you meet other people who work in games and hang out with them and talk to them regularly? I don't actually know it unless you're actually working actively at a company. There's probably a way to do it. It's just, networking and like making social connections has never been my specialty. So I'm really the wrong person to ask about that. Do I have any game reviewers that I like or at least somewhat trust their opinions? I used to like, I don't know. I'd have to go revisit because there definitely were times when I liked some things that game reviewers wrote, but it was a really long time ago and I have much more knowledge about games than I did at those times. I will say, in terms of just an actual news site that was good coverage, Stephen Totilo, who I guess still runs Kotaku or something, in the days before Kotaku, he had this column called MTV Gaming News that he wrote, and it was like really good. And then And that wasn't necessarily reviews. Like, I don't even remember what it was. I just remember like, oh yeah, this is like a good, refreshing, nice column to read, But that was a long time ago. And for some reason, maybe making a living, he decided to do the Kotaku thing. So that's just a very different thing. Jeff Gertzman used to be not bad. Yeah, I like Giant Bomb. I mean, I haven't been to Giant Bomb lately, but I used to go watch Giant Bomb Quick Looks a lot. Back before, like nowadays, I just watch a lot of Twitch, but before I did that, I would watch Giant Bomb Quick Looks. Do I have a particular time of day when I'm more productive? No, I just do stuff. It's probability. It's probable. Well, too bad that went out in the beta. Recall the beta. Yeah, I remember doing that. I remember doing the Witness timed trial on Giant Bomb on PS4 and almost not succeeding. Are there other interesting websites I frequent? Not really. Like, good websites are not really a thing these days. I hate to say it. Palladium.com is pretty good. Is a pretty interesting website, but that's not about video games. Dan Liu's blog is all right. That is true. Dan Wang's blog is all right. Also not about programming. Maybe the key is Dan. Yeah, anyone named Dan writes a good blog, probably. Actually, it's palladiummag.com, not palladium.com. Isn't it? Let's see. Let's go look at our web recommendations. Yeah, palladium.com is something else, but this is a good website about just collecting a variety of like well-written essays from different people. It's not centered on any particular ideology, right? It's a variety of views, and you'll read interesting things here that you won't be exposed to other places. So Dan Wang lives in China and blogs a lot of good stuff. You could read his blog to see like what's going on there. Dan Liu is here we go. Much more technical and actually about programming. Well, there's a car posting, which is interesting. The growth of command line options. Anyway. Scott Alexander's blog was good. Yeah, well, too bad what happened to that. You like Endgate? I haven't been to Endgate in a long time. Is Endgate still going? Like, wow, it's still going. Whoever updates Endgate is very persistent. It's been going for years. You missed Old Man Murray. Are they Chinese? Do you mean is Palladium Chinese? No, Palladium is based in California, but or headquarters is sort of in California, but it's spread around the West and a little bit of the East. You wish there was a better way to find new sites. It used to be much easier. That is true. That's kind of what I was saying. Like, good websites are kind of not a thing because it's all Facebook and Twitter and all that now. You learned some interesting stuff from the SIMD-JSON blog paper. Yeah, I just can't read a SIMD-JSON paper. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's like such an absurd proposition that I just am not willing to. Any upcoming indie game I'm keeping an eye on? Not that I know of. Let me look on. I don't know if it's kosher to put the indie game release calendar on stream. I don't know if there's is there a public version of the indie game release calendar? How do I switch to frickin' months? You know, not that many people use the Indie Game release calendar anymore. There's only a couple games on it. Maybe all the indies gave up during coronavirus times. What does Steam say is up and come? Well, I want the coming soon. I guess because it's a sale, they've just changed the way everything works. All right, never mind. I was going to look for the new and coming soon. Do I know someone you could ask about quad remeshing algorithms? Remeshing is something that I do not know anything about. I'm sorry. It's just not a thing that I've ever done. Like remeshing, so remeshing historically was like a non-real-time rendering thing anyway, because like the number of triangles that we used to be able to draw in games was so low that it couldn't really be the output of a remeshing algorithm. It would more just have to be like the output of an LOD algorithm, right? But that's kind of different now. Now we could actually draw that stuff. So it's probably in use in some games. It's just not something that I ever did anything with. And let's explore the upcomings. Landlord Girls. Death Stranding on Steam. Wow. Occupy Mars Prologue. Like, this just looks like someone started up the Unreal physics demo and then added some objects to it. Like, what? Pause and Soul. It looks like Okami. Fault. It's your fault. That looks trippy. Spring 2021. Creeks. That looks like a Machinarium game. That's by them, isn't it? Or it's a good imitator. Rogue Legacy 2, is that on here? Oh, July 23. Well, I'll be giving that a try. Worm. I mean, it's so hard. Like, any one of these games could actually be good, right? It's just hard to tell. Like, I don't know what I'm looking at most of the time. Do I have any thoughts on systems relating to programming, like the interaction between the program and the computer? Oh, I have lots of thoughts about that. Lots of thoughts. Like, enough that I don't know where to start, but if you had more specific questions, maybe I could say something. Tesla Force. Okay. I don't know. Like, aside from Rogue Legacy 2, as I look through here, it's like I'm not really seeing anything that I'm looking forward to, right? That doesn't mean some of these games aren't good. It just means I don't know they're good or that they're my kind of thing. So yeah. Yeah, I kind of wish there weren't as many games. Or I had some way to know what was good. Do I play any musical instruments? I do not. You wonder what the Dust Force studio is up to. I talked to one of the dudes from Dust Force a while, but it was like a year ago now, and it sounded pretty interesting what he was working on. I thought it was supposed to be out soon, but I guess it's taken time. BOC. I thought it was BC Quest for Tires. Infinite scrolling is so obnoxious. There's a Paranoia video game? It doesn't look like it has the... That does not look like what Paranoia would look like. That can't be... This can't be based on the RPG. Right? I'm going to click on it. E3 2019 gameplay trailer. It is Paranoia. But that was such an unimaginative... Like, that's not... That's not the graphical style of what Paranoia would be.
Peggy 16.
This is so weird.
Hi there. Welcome to Intro to Troubleshooting. I'm Daffy Duck, and I've been assigned as your trainer for this exhaustive, in-depth course in troubleshooting. Pay attention. This information could save your clone's life. Lesson 1. Take your time. Avoid collateral damage. Remember, take a chill pill and relax. Take your time and give your orders, but don't delay. Failure to act promptly is treason. Don't panic. If you panic, you will be terminated. Look, troubleshooters using cover and clever tactics to pin down these traitors in a crossfire. The team leader guides his teammates from the rear. Listen to him motivate his team. Glory! Glory, hail computer! There, a traitor. Boom! Watch out. Another one. Take care of your flanks. No, the flank! Oh, come on! Throw the grenades, you morons! And here is how you win! Well, clearly, first I've got to show you what not to do. Remember, Troubleshooter, our friend the computer provides each of us with 6 clones. If something goes wrong, try again. Stop dying, idiots! Stop dying! Finally. You are authorized to question citizens in the course of your missions. You'll make new friends, learn fun things, and identify traitors who must be terminated. Traitors are hiding everywhere within our utopia. Anyone might be a traitor. Alpha Complex is full of exciting experimental equipment and fun buttons to press. But remember, your most important tool is your trusty laser pistol. Stay alert, trust no one, keep your laser handy. This concludes our extensive course in troubleshooting.
Trainer evaluation completed. Prepare to be recycled.
No.
It doesn't look like a good game, unfortunately. Yeah, I was wondering if Greg was actually involved in this. Is he advising on this or something? They should have let me make a Paranoia game. That's all I'm saying. Maybe it'll be good. I don't know. It's just the art direction doesn't seem that good, and actually the fact that it's like, I would rather it be fully turn-based like XCOM than this weird real-time thing like they were doing. But this video is from a long time ago. This was for E3 2019, which is over a year ago. So, you know, probably a lot more work has gone into the game since then. And date's not even announced. So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. We'll see what it feels like. It's just, this is not Paranoia, guys. All right. Is there a plan for how the next round of people trying out the compiler is going to work? I mean, we're just going to expand the beta over time. I actually have time to do a Paranoia game as well as all the other things. No, I don't. I'm just saying, though, if I did, it would be different from this. Boy, I get to restart Steam again and get all my friend notifications again. How is the original Paranoia? Original Paranoia is a pen and paper RPG. But it had a certain attitude and visual style and stuff that guy was sort of trying to emulate, but not that well. Okay, so you know all the stuff that Fallout does about, like, what's his name, like Pip-Boy, the mascot, and like all the 50s style and all that? I feel like a large percentage of that is ripped off from Paranoia, because Paranoia is about, it's sort of like about the Red Scare from the US in the 1950s, but in the future when it's run by a computer and everything is Red Scare all the time, right? So like, but it was that kind of a thing. It's kind of like a clean aesthetic, like a little bit of a cartoony aesthetic. Definitely like the world of Paranoia is a world with, like, you know, happy faces and bright colors and clean surfaces and all this stuff. Except for when you go into a poorly maintained area that's hiding just behind the facade, and then there's very not clean surfaces, right? I don't know. Would I consider making a VR game? Yes. Do I have any urge to make a competitive PvP game? I have done that before. In projects with large amounts of unique content, would it be okay to hard code individual pieces of data, or should they be organized into categories? They should be whatever you find most maintainable. I mean, in The Witness, all the puzzles are programmed in C++, so like that tells you something. Paranoia would be a very timely game. I agree. Like, it would be pretty good if you did it right. It's just very few people would have the cojones to do Paranoia correctly in the year 2020, you know. You're not sure you'd make a game that sounds like the original Paranoia, so focused on combat. Yeah, I mean, original Paranoia had combat, but there was like a lot of like decision making. You know, like in Planescape Torment, how like there was combat, but there was also like dialogue, and the dialogue was really important. That's like what a Paranoia game would be. Except maybe not so text heavy. Like if you imagine, you know, like the Walking Dead adventure games or something, where you have like characters and you make choices and it says this character will remember this kind of Paranoia too. Do I think it's possible for an automated system to actually recommend games I'd like? I mean, the Steam recommender, I forget how to get to it, but it does a better job than random. Where is it? Where's the interactive recommender? This one. This is like not that bad because you can dial it toward niche, right? And then just say, well, 3 years is probably fine. And it's like, okay, you know, I understand why these games are on this list. I don't want to play a lot of them, but this at least makes sense to me, right? I'm sure a lot of things that I would like to play are not on this list as well. We can go super niche. I guess we're pretty far. Let's go more toward popular. Doom Eternal. Point and click. Like, I understand why these games are on here. You know what I'm saying? The Rusty Lake and Cube Escape series. Anyway. You feel like Artifact pops up arbitrarily for you? Yeah, I mean, I feel like Valve probably juices their own games, right? It is what it is. Wow, Legend of Bumbo was 7 months ago. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. Paranoia came out on Epic Game Store in December, but has been pulled for some reason. All right, everybody. I think it's Miller time for me. I'm going to take a break and sign off and maybe do a little more work. And thank you for coming by. Sorry for getting grumpy in the middle. I got a little grumpy. It's no big deal. And go buy peanut butter M&Ms. I should. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go out and get peanut butter M&Ms. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you later.